Unbelievable situation here on the Décarie Expressway. I'm at the corner of Plamondon and Décarie. Fire department aerial ladders have been lowered. Even a cable company has been pressed into service to lower ladders here. There is no movement on Décarie. Cars are almost submerged. In some cases, you can't even see the windows, the side windows of the cars. There's even an MUC police car down there. This is Décarie, all lanes. There is no movement, a flood. It looks like a river on the Décarie Expressway. Some people are standing on their rooftops. Others have been able to make it to the shoulder. And as we speak to you now, people are being escorted up fire department and other ladders by firemen and some volunteers. It is an absolute shambles and a scene I have never, ever witnessed before.
1987, the Décarie, and that voice there, Rick Leckner, CJAD 800's Wall of Fame traffic reporter, joins us right now. Rick, welcome back to the show.
Good morning. I remember that vividly, as a matter of fact, vividly.
Tell me about the flashbacks you must have been having yesterday.
Immediately. As soon as I started to get these, as everybody did, the events, but I want to come back to the flashback shortly because I know time is limited and there's so many aspects to this. I could talk to you about this for an hour. Mm-hmm. We really need to look at the future. What are we going to do? Because I hate to say it, that this is becoming the new normal. We've ignored climate change a lot of people have ignored climate change for years. Enough is still not being done, but I hear this expression, a once-in-a-thousand-year storm. I heard it in Florida. I heard it in Vermont. I've heard it elsewhere in the last couple of months, but I'm afraid this is what we're facing. So what are we going to do about it? We can, flash back to 1987, and I can tell you back in 87, because of the flood, 2 years after, I was asked to be in a group of 5 people to form the MUC, the Montreal Community Emergency Measures Bureau. And we put all kinds of plans into effect for eventualities such as this. The problem we had then, Elias, and I think to a degree we still have today, people still don't take it seriously enough. Even the municipalities, we had them do all kinds of emergency measures plans. They ended up in a binder on a shelf somewhere, if the binder was even full. So we really need to take an inventory. What are we doing? What is our infrastructure like? Do we have the catch basins? Do we have the reservoirs to maintain a proper security here? We can never, ever prepare for the hell that we had yesterday and back in 1987, but we need to take a look at it seriously.
So, Rick, I'm looking at photos of 1987 and right next to it photos of yesterday, right? And obviously, we didn't have a repeat, right? So it was better. Hasn't there not been some improvement here?
Well, I would like to think there is. I don't know for certain. Definitely, they've made changes. They've added more pumps. I know they did a major job at the Lackady Circle, which was so-so. Spent $100 million there, and it didn't prove to be as effective. But I think that definitely there were parallels yesterday. But, as you said, when you look at the pictures of yesterday and look back to 1987, it was bad yesterday, but nowhere near as bad as 1987. I remember that intersection of Plamondon and Décarie. My eyeballs couldn't connect with my brain for a while to integrate what I was seeing with what was coming out of my mouth for some time. So I got up in the CJAD Jet Ranger, and we flew until about 10, 11 o'clock that night. But the island was a sea. Fortunately, that was not the case this time. The metro flooded last time, as Trudy mentioned. There was a gentleman who died in the underpass near Beauharnois, which is just underneath the Laurentian Autoroute merge with the Metropolitan. We were lucky yesterday, Elias. We were lucky. Are we going to be as lucky the next time? And there's going to be a next time.
So I guess that it comes down to, was yesterday luck, or even though it's not perfect, have we actually done some work in order to make sure we can be lucky?
I'm sure we have. Have we done enough? You can never do enough. And as I said, you can't prepare for these storms. It's just, it's like, can we put all the wires below ground across Quebec? Of course not. But you got to do it in some areas. Do you have any idea how much rain fell yesterday? I don't. I was trying to find that out because I know that back in 87, we had 100 millimeters in about 2 hours between, say, noon and 2 p.m. that July 14th. So I don't know. That's one piece of data that we have to compare for certain.
I think I heard it was about that, Rick. Like, and that we had more yesterday than we got in all of July of last year. So, I think there are some parallels there. Rick, if I can ask you this, what should the priority be? If we look at, like, if we can't do everything all at once, what should be the priority in your book to weather the next storm?
That's a good question, but I think that first of all, there must be an inventory of where we are with our infrastructure system. We're doing a lot of work right now. Are we putting in bigger pipes? I don't know if we are. I don't know if we're not. I don't know if we are, but I'd like to think we are. I don't know if the realization when they planned the works that they're doing now and they've been doing over the years that we would have storms like this occur to them. Possibly not. I don't want to be presumptuous and say that they didn't, but I think first thing they need to do is just, where are we? Where are we? Maybe we're not that bad. And we can't, as I said a couple of times now, prepare for the inevitable huge storms that are going to come, but there definitely has to be a look at that. There has to be a better plan. People also have a role to play in this, as I always say about traffic as well. There were enough warnings yesterday, Elias.
So yeah, we started at it was at 9:59 where we started here at CJAD 800 with the warnings.
So in a snowstorm, people will stay home. There's a school day when they think there's going to be 10 centimeters of snow. Why did people venture out into the storm yesterday in the midst of this and add to the chaos? Mm-hmm. Why were cars allowed to get onto the Cary Expressway? They should have. Retrospect is great, but let's plan ahead using yesterday's example. Close the entrances to the Cary Expressway. Who has a trench in the middle of a city for an expressway?
That is a great question, right? Because why not just avoid the worst case scenario with a closure like that? Rick, can I ask you here, on the newest of our infrastructure, because I got a question from a listener about the Turcotte Yards, which is relatively new and that kind of stuff. Do you know, did our newer, because you mentioned the Acadie Circle, which has had its issues, but did the newer stuff fare well yesterday?
Turcotte is raised, so it's not, never has been a flooding issue. I don't know that there were issues there. I know that a consistent problem also is at Highway 20 and First Avenue at the underpass there, and I believe that was flooded yesterday. Intersections that have had a lot of work and tunnels such as Victoria at Jean-Talon, Côte-des-Neiges at Jean-Talon. Let's talk about Côte-Saint-Luc. I mean, they did a good job in communicating yesterday, by the way, but let's talk about Côte-Saint-Luc. And we talk about Cavendish and how we need Cavendish. Yesterday, at least, the Westminster underpass was not flooded. Back in 87, you couldn't get out of Côte-Saint-Luc. You couldn't get into Côte-Saint-Luc. People were trapped. The only way out of Côte-Saint-Luc would have been open up a railroad crossing that they used for emergency purposes, which could never have accommodated people. Yeah. But again, this is an argument for an extension of Cavendish, so at least there is another exit from Côte-Saint-Luc, because those underpasses are prone to flooding as well.
We're up to our eyeballs in reasons to extend Cavendish. Nobody's listening. Rick, great to catch up with you and get your perspective on where we are with infrastructure. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
And I'll let you know, Rick, I got a note from a listener, Environment Canada. The numbers here, 82 millimeters recorded at the McTavish weather station near McGill. And that we got between 50 and 100 millimeters of rain, depending on where you were in the Montreal region. So there's the answer to that on how much rain we did get.